Somehow, it's December again. 2025 is waning along with the last of the daylight. The end of the year is a perfect time for reflection and looking ahead. So let's turn our gaze both ways through the looking glass, reflecting on the past year and looking ahead to 2026. I started 2025 doing what I love, and that is going to card shows. But I found out at the first card show of 2025 that one of my dealer friends had died. He was the dealer that coined my nickname by greeting me at every show with a buoyant, "Phillies guy." The year didn't exactly get off to a great start, but it got better from there. It was the first of 6 card shows I'd get to attend this year, including the National. And I got to a show for the first time as a dealer, which was a total hoot. I was able to finish 2 major team sets this year, my 1909 T206 Phillies team set and my 1922 team set made up of American Caramels, Nielsen's Chocolates, and W573 strip cards. Of course, there's a video for each of those collecting stories. I was able to add to my Bryce Harper SGC 10 collection, now sitting at 9 total cards, and was able to add substantially to the complete Harper rookie and pre-rookie run. I bought 3 collections and detailed the journey of discovery, sorting, completion, and assimilation of many new sets as a result, including a complete 1980 Topps set with Ricky Rookie, which I was able to acquire for net $0. That was a really fun project over a number of weeks and challenged me to stretch my collecting chops just a bit. Apart from my LCS, I was able to visit 3 card shops across the country, one in Horsham, Pennsylvania, just north of Philadelphia, one in Springfield, Missouri, and one in Fort Smith, Arkansas. I found treasures in all 3, and their stories remain available for all to experience. I designed and made a custom rotating display curio for my 1912 Recruit Little Cigars box and T207 Brownback tobacco card, which now pirouettes itself in my dining room on permanent display. I made holiday videos celebrating the 4th of July, Halloween, and Thanksgiving. I finally learned something about Pokemon cards. And I stood on my small soapbox to pontificate about a variety of subjects, including the idiotic price of the Paul Skeens 1-of-1 debut patch auto, why I don't grade cards, and why most bulk collections are worthless. That was my most popular long-form video of the year, with 54,000 views and counting. I made it as a resource that I could send to people trying to sell bulk collections on Marketplace for ridiculous money. I have sent the link to a few people in an attempt to get their prices out of the sky, but so far, to no effect. I am confident, however, that eventually someone will be convinced that their tub of 30,000 loose 1987 Topps cards piled high in a knockoff Rubbermaid tote isn't worth the $10,000 that they're asking for it. The biggest addition to my collecting hobby this year, and forgive me if you're tired of hearing me talk about it, is a 3D printer that I picked up right at the beginning of the year in January. I started making little doohickeys for my own collection, no-slip bases to go in my boxes, color-coded top-loader caps, little display stands, all kinds of stuff. Then I experimented with making card box dividers. It started with just a crude template, which morphed into a crude template with a crude nameplate. I slowly got better at the design software and the use of the printer, and started to make some pieces for my own boxes that I really liked. Some of you reached out and asked if I could do it for you in your boxes, and the rest is kind of history now. I've made over 2,000 card box dividers for collectors across the country in 2025. And I've had so many cool and off-the-wall requests too. And that's why I started doing it, because we collectors know what we want, and so often what we want isn't a thing we can just buy. As a result of stumbling into this little niche of the hobby, the channel is more or less self-sustaining. Nobody is retiring on 3D printed card box dividers and YouTube revenue, but the inflow is enough that I can pick up cards here and there apart from the household budget, and no big card that I target has to come at the detriment of my kids' financial future. Speaking of big cards, all the big cards I picked up this year were 1915 Cracker Jacks. I'm not anywhere near a complete team set yet, but I added 3 1915 Cracker Jacks in 2025: George Whitted, Bill Killefer, and Fred Luterus. This Fred Luterus card is now the most expensive card in my collection, at nearly $400. I know that's small beans in YouTube land, where 4 and 5 figure cards are bandied about like Lucky Charms at a leprechaun convention. But for me, and for so many other collectors, we have to piece this together bit by bit and dollar by dollar. The channel is, by all reports, healthy. In 2025, the channel has received close to 800,000 total views, more than 17,000 watch hours, and I've doubled the subscriber count to north of 3,500. All metrics point to the fact that there seems to be a market for this, so I should keep doing it for another year. So I guess I'll do just that. Looking forward to 2026, my big collecting goal is to close the gap on my 1915 Cracker Jack team set. There are 2 real challenges there, as the Grover Cleveland Alexander and the Erskine Meyer card are both very expensive. I'll need at least $5,000 for the former and at least $1,500 for the latter. Those 2 cards withstanding, I hope to be able to round out the rest of that set. I've also been working on a 1912 T207 team set. These are a little more achievable than the Cracker Jacks, so I have a goal to complete this team set outright in 2026. I'd like to crack the 1 million view mark, which should happen soon, and get the subscriber count to 5,000 total subs by the end of 2026. That's achievable, I think, but it starts with you doing me a solid and finally subscribing to the channel if you haven't already done so. My videos in 2026 will zoom out a bit on my collection at large, as I want to take a closer look at how I arrange things and keep things in my collection, and feature some of my more interesting binders and boxes, and somehow get an accurate count of just how many cards I have after all of these years. I'll keep making card box dividers as long as there are collectors out there who want them, and I'll keep making videos as long as you keep watching. Happy holidays, and I'll see you in the new year with a new season of videos. There's still so much more in store here on Baseball Card Stories, Legends, and more.